Out of infinite grains of sand pressed together, millions of years in the making. A vast erosional remnant, its beauty a mysterious gift from the forces of nature. Rocks that turn gold at sunrise, a kaleidoscope of patterns and colors. Stone settings for cactus blossoms, scented forests, radiant wildflowers, and tenacious native wildlife. Breathtaking galleries of sculpted stone, Bryce Canyon and Zion National Parks, America's majestic canyons of wonder. The neighboring parks of Zion and Bryce Canyon contain some of the most magnificent rock formations in the world. And yet, the natural masonry of the two parks is an extraordinary study in contrasts. The sheer walls of Zion display massive power. The fluted towers of Bryce are delicate and finely wrought. Bryce is a festival of intricately cut stone, ornate, intriguing, and mysterious. Rock formations ignite the imagination. Stone pillars are transformed into a mythological garden filled with fanciful creatures and whimsical objects. Zion is a colossal temple of monumental splendor. It seems that no one who enters this place can leave unchanged. From the Native Americans who first saw it, the bold mountain men who explored the surrounding area, the Mormon pioneers who settled it, to the visitors today. Men and women of diverse beliefs and sensibilities experience, in their own terms, a powerful spirituality, a stirring of the soul. Zion and Bryce Canyon National Parks are located in the southwest corner of Utah. Bryce Canyon National Park covers 56 square miles. Its altitude ranges from 6,600 to 9,100 feet. Bryce is an intriguing blend of diverse geological features. There is the Paunsaugunt Plateau, blanketed with pinyon and juniper, ponderosa, and bristlecone pine. Below the rim of the plateau lie the Badlands of southern Utah. Along the eastern rim of the plateau, the pink cliffs showcase the gallery of Bryce's magnificent rock sculptures known as hoodoos. Cathedrals with finely carved windows and ornate minarets. Surreal castles with arches and parapets. Their evocative shapes conjure up mythical characters and exotic creatures. The colors fused into the rock are derived from the oxidation of certain minerals. Iron and manganese oxides create the most vibrant hues in the park's lovely palette. Iron produces the reds and the yellows, and manganese the purples and the blues that grace the rocks of Bryce. The main showcase in the park, the vast Bryce Amphitheater, contains numerous small canyons, each cut by a trickle, stream, or torrent of water draining from the pink cliffs. Snowmelt and runoff from summer thunderstorms create streams that chisel their way into the soft rock of the plateau. This process steepens the cliffs and broadens the amphitheaters. The various streams join at the base of the plateau, adding to the waters of the Paria River. It is estimated that erosion carves away 1 foot of the rim every 50 to 65 years. In the bewitching grandeur of Bryce Canyon, graceful winged creatures arouse fantasies of flight. Located in the northern part of the park, the 18-mile scenic drive along the heavily forested plateau includes a series of overlooks with a variety of breathtaking vistas. Many visitors think that Sunrise Point provides one of the best views of the geologic wonder of Bryce Amphitheater, the park's most impressive gallery. Sunrise Point offers a spectacular panorama of the Badlands of Bryce, where swift erosion has left the surfaces with steep cliffs and sharp slopes. Interspersed among the spires and rock statues are ponderosa pine and Douglas fir. The towering ponderosa pine are among the tallest trees in the park, often exceeding 100 feet. On display are some of the park's splendid wildflowers, such as the skyrocket gilia, rabbit brush, and paintbrush. While the scenic overlooks provide wonderful perspectives on the marvels of Bryce, another way to appreciate the stone sculpture gallery is to hike or ride along the more than 50 miles of trails that wind through the park. Trail guide John Henry Meekum is proud to be a cowboy and helps keep the spirit of the Old West alive on these Badland trails.
You get a lot of people that's never seen a cowboy, and when they see one, they ooh and ah and want to take your picture and talk to you. And people that comes from the city or foreign countries has never seen cowboys much, so they eat that up.
The Queen's Garden Trail, one of the most colorful in Bryce Canyon, offers graphic evidence of the constant state of change in the park. Upper rock layers erode onto the rocks below, covering them with a thin layer of soil that alters both their color and texture.
Getting down in the canyon is the only really way to see it. I mean, you can go to the viewpoints on top, but you're looking at the tops of the rocks. You're not down in looking at the rocks from the sides and looking back up at it. So to see it good, you need to get right down in the canyon.
Although Bryce is too cold for most reptiles, the short-horned lizard is sometimes seen along the trail. The lizard's camouflaging ability enables it to change its color and blend into the environment.
I've got several favorite formations. I like the Wall of Windows, Chessman, and the Silent City, and probably the Naked Lady, because you get good response out of people. It's a little more humorous, and they seem to enjoy them when you tell them, so it kind of makes them special, I guess. Sometimes we tell a viewpoint and people say, well, I don't know whether it looks like that or not, but then they come up with a new name for it, and then sometimes they'll point out, well, this rock looks like this, you ought to call it this, tell your people this, and so they feel like they're naming part of it, probably part of the canyon themselves.
At the bottom of the Queen's Garden Trail stands a formation called Queen Victoria, appropriately posed on her regal pedestal. The trail leads back to the rim, where vegetation increases noticeably. The Utah juniper has thick sap and waxy branches that conserve water. Its heavy bark protects it from both the heat and the cold. When its needles fall to the ground, they kill vegetation that might otherwise compete with the tree for water. The juniper's bitter-tasting needles and strong odor put off browsing animals and potentially destructive insects. Their shallow roots trap summer rain runoff, helping to lessen erosion. Utah prairie dogs are native to Bryce Canyon. A member of the rodent family, the prairie dog is named for its distinctive bark. Because of the animal's voracious appetite for alfalfa and grass intended for livestock, local ranchers and farmers aggressively hunted the prairie dog for years. By the early 1950s, prairie dogs had practically been eliminated from the Bryce Canyon area. Then it was discovered that the prairie dog communities formed the primary diet for a number of predators, including certain snakes and the burrowing owl. Without the prairie dog, the existence of these predators was threatened. In 1974, the Utah prairie dog was reintroduced into the park. Colonies have thrived, and prairie dogs once again rove the park in large numbers. The mule deer is one of the most commonly seen deer in the wilderness areas of the American West. How did it get its name? From its long, mule-sized ears. The mule deer's main defense against predators is its agility and speed, even after eating a large meal. Its four-chambered stomach enables it to load up on leaves and shrubs. If threatened, it can run to a hiding place where it can chew its cud and digest its food in peace. Mule deer are year-round residents, except when deep winter snows drive them outside the park in search of food. Bryce's distant boundaries and beyond stretch like a canvas backdrop for the park's most inspiring points and promontories. Inspiration Point, at more than 8,100 feet, provides unparalleled views of the sunset over Bryce Amphitheater. The walls are favorite nesting places for large ravens, the largest member of the crow family. The raven is noted for its intelligence, playfulness, and indiscriminate appetite. Other airborne predators in the park include the golden eagle and the Cooper's hawk. Among the park's collection of astonishing forms, Silent City has been called the most breathtaking maze of erosional forms on the planet. Silent City bears some resemblance to a modern skyline, with rows of deserted skyscrapers, towers, and spires. Some of these walls are more than 600 feet long and 200 feet high. The provocative shapes of Silent City raise questions as to how this landscape was formed. Maggie McGee, an interpretive ranger, provides some geologic insights.
This area, the pink cliffs of Bryce Canyon, are also known as the Clarion Formation, and they formed about 60 million years ago in a freshwater lake, river, and stream system. And that river, stream, and lake system carried a variety of different deposits, sediments, different sizes. We had sand, gravel, silt, clay, and mud, all being washed in here and laid down in those beautiful layers that you see there. And they were being cemented together by calcium carbonate, a natural mineral cement, also known as limestone. And the limestone was also being mixed in with the sediments in varying amounts, and the result here is what we call the Clarion Formation. Different layers of different hardnesses or different abilities to withstand erosion. Well, eventually the water system that laid down the Clarion dried up and disappeared. Beginning about 10 to 15 million years ago, the whole area known as the Colorado Plateau began to slowly uplift. What that uplifting did was to begin to create a great deal of stress and strain on the western half of the Colorado Plateau, which began to be pulled apart into a series of separate high plateaus. And of course, the Paunsaugunt Plateau, from which Bryce Canyon is formed, is one of those high plateaus. What that uplifting separation into high plateaus did was to begin to allow for the forces of erosion to take place. Water in the form of rain and snow melt begins to cut down the eastern edge of the plateau, forming those gullies and ridges, and eventually the walls, and sooner or later, the separate hoodoos, those weird shapes that we see out there, the spires and pinnacles. We only have 15 inches of precipitation here a year. That's not very much, and that includes our snowfall. But we have between 200 and 250 freeze-thaw cycles every year. And that means that at night the temperature dips below freezing. During the day it rises up above freezing. And water getting down in those cracks in the rock at night begins to freeze. And it freezes from the top down. And when it freezes, of course, it expands, and that literally breaks off huge chunks of rock.
In terms of geologic time, the hoodoo formations are extremely fragile and short-lived. The only constant is ongoing rapid change. An old Paiute legend offers a mythic perspective on the origin of the hoodoo formations.
Before there were any Indians, the legend people, Tuwenaungwa, lived in that place. They were of many kinds, birds, animals, lizards, and such things, but they looked like people. They were not people. They had the power to make themselves look that way. For some reason, the legend people in that place were bad. Because they were bad, Sinawava, Coyote, turned them all into rocks, some standing in rows, some sitting down, some holding on to others.
The hoodoos of Bryce Canyon continue to engage the imagination and inspire leaps of fantasy as visitors attempt to interpret these provocative rock sculptures.
The formation down there looks like a bunch of castles and like a whole Middle Ages city.
Those hoodoos down there look like a group of little old gray-haired ladies like me sitting around with their crocheting.
It looks like a person with a top hat.
Those two hoodoos over there look like two Egyptians.
Well, that looks like castles. Rock castles to me.
Oh, like little people in there, look.
Hoodoos to me look like we're all Lilliputians and Gulliver was out here making sandcastles for us.
The hoodoos to me look like my children's room before they put away their toys.
It is likely that the Mormon scouts who reached the plateau around the middle of the 19th century saw somewhat different hoodoo formations than we do today. In 1872, a group of explorers led by the renowned Major John Wesley Powell, the famed explorer of the Grand Canyon, began to survey Bryce Canyon. Other scientific expeditions to further survey and map the area soon followed. In 1875, Ebenezer and Mary Bryce were among the early Mormon settlers who attempted to farm the Paria Valley and graze cattle in the main amphitheater of the present-day park. They built roads to haul timbers and they dug irrigation ditches. But after 5 years, Ebenezer and Mary moved on to Arizona due to Mary's poor health. According to legend, Ebenezer Bryce once called this labyrinth of rocks a hell of a place to lose a cow. Early in the 1900s, glowing reports of Bryce's extraordinary features began to reach the general public. Roads were built for automobile traffic, and the Union Pacific Railroad developed a rail and motor coach tourist business. With its growing popularity, in 1923, Bryce gained the status of a national monument, and the following year, Congress authorized the creation of a national park. But it was not until 1928, after the acquisition of privately owned lands, that the area officially became a park. About half of the hiking trails start on the rim and descend precipitously. The rugged terrain of the Badlands can offer a challenge. Southwest of the Queen's Garden Trail and below Sunset Point is the Navajo Loop Trail, which drops 520 feet in less than a mile. After arriving on the floor of Bryce Amphitheater, the hiker can explore this gallery of natural statuary from an entirely different perspective. The canyon named Wall Street is extraordinarily narrow and deep. Its sides rise more than 200 feet above the trail. Douglas firs that have managed to take root stretch for the sun. As the elevation of the trail increases, intriguing rock formations come into view. Thor's hammer seems to perch precariously on top of its narrow base. The Sentinel stands as a testament to the fragile nature of these hoodoo monuments. In the summer of 1986, powerful erosive forces sheared off 2/3 of the left-hand portion of this tall column. To the south of Bryce Amphitheater, the elevation of the plateau increases nearly 1,000 feet. It is the dampest and coldest area of Bryce and supports the park's most beautiful forests. The leaves of the silver-barked aspen trees, changing dramatically with the seasons from summer green to autumn gold, bring rich color to the park. Natural Bridge is an impressive formation created by erosion that attacked both sides of the rock and eventually ate through, creating a natural arch. Not far from Rainbow Point and Yovimpa Point, the last overlooks in the park are near an area where bristlecone pine thrive. These remarkable trees grow in isolation in the more barren, higher altitudes where they are exposed to the elements. The trees are extremely hardy and manage to survive in areas where other species would perish. The bristlecone pine is one of the oldest living organisms known to man. The oldest pine in Bryce is about 1,700 years old, but it is a mere youngster compared to the 5,000-year-old specimen in eastern Nevada. Winter is a time of unequaled beauty in Bryce Canyon. The crisp, frigid air provides superb visibility, and a blanket of fresh snow creates a frosted layer cake effect. Winter seems to bring a profoundly peaceful mood to the park. After exploring Bryce for the U.S. Geological Survey, an awed Captain Clarence E. Dutton chose these words in his 1882 report to describe what he had seen.
The glory of all this rock is seen in the pink cliffs. The resemblances to strict architectural forms are often startling. The upper tier of the vast amphitheater is one mighty colonnade. Standing obelisks, prostrate columns, niches, buttresses, repetitions of symmetrical forms, all bring vividly before the mind suggestions of the work of giant hands.
Heading west, only 80 miles across southwestern Utah, the intricate beauty of Bryce disappears. In its place, the massive sandstone temples of Zion National Park. A majesty of colors and forms provides a wondrous kaleidoscopic vision, changing into ever more breathtaking views. Vertical canyon walls rise thousands of feet, towering above the valley floor. Paiute Indians believed that great spirits, supernatural beings that inspired reverence and awe, inhabited this place. Pioneers and early visitors who followed were no less moved. The legacy of their spiritual response remains in the exalted names they bestowed upon the natural splendor. The Great White Throne, Court of the Patriarchs, Angel's Landing, and the name Zion itself, conjuring up images of the Promised Land, a heavenly place. Zion National Park covers a sprawling 230 square miles, and its altitude ranges from about 3,600 to 8,700 feet. The outstanding scenic area of the park is the splendid Zion Canyon. On each side, the canyon is flanked by massive stone temples that are resplendent and otherworldly. The Zion-Mount Carmel Highway connects Zion Canyon to the east entrance of the park. But the highway is much more than just an access road to the canyon. In fact, this section of the park features terrain with an unusual, striking beauty and its own unique natural treasures. Part of the majesty of Zion lies in the stark contrasts of its many landscapes. And the park's rich and colorful palette extends into some areas that few visitors explore, such as the northwestern part of the park. The arid climate of Kolob Canyons is imposing, yet the journey is not without its dramatic rewards. When confronting the enormity of Zion Canyon, many visitors wonder what great natural cataclysm produced it, which makes it all the more difficult to believe that the Virgin River, with its placid flow today, played a central role in carving out such an immense canyon. About 13 million years ago, a vigorous uplift of the Paunsaugunt Plateau riddled the sandstone with a maze of cracks and substantially increased the downward grade of the river. As the flow accelerated, the cutting power of the river increased greatly. Over millions of years, the river has scraped and chiseled through more than 2,000 feet of stone to form this magnificent canyon. The Virgin River descends 50 to 70 vertical feet per mile and carries away more than 1 million tons of rock each year. During the rainy season each spring, the volume and velocity of the river increase dramatically. Flash floods dislodge large rocks and logs. Massive walls of water act as giant bulldozers, pushing aside sprawling fields of stone and soil in a single day. And yet, the abundance of water is a luxury in Zion, and these streamside woodlands make up but a small percentage of the park's primarily arid total acreage. Where water is plentiful, groves of box elder, willow, cottonwood, and ash spring up. During the relentless heat of the late summer, night-blooming plants predominate. The sacred datura grows to a height of more than 2 feet. Its trumpet-shaped blossom opens in twilight, but withers under the morning sun. Native Americans of the Southwest have long known of the plant's hallucinogenic properties. The plant contains a chemical that was used as a truth serum during World War II. Today, it is used to combat motion sickness. Unfortunately, every part of the datura also contains chemicals that are extremely toxic, and ingesting any part of the plant can be deadly. Man has gained vast knowledge from studying the plants and animals of the wilderness, and yet wilderness preservation has been a difficult challenge. In the 1930s, the National Park Service tried to preserve the deer by eliminating the mountain lion and other predators. The program was so successful that the herds of deer grew unchecked. They overgrazed their range, and many starved. Consequently, Park Service policies stopped discriminating against the predators, and today both the deer and the mountain lion roam freely in Zion. On the river, hemmed in by vertical cliffs, there is a special quality to the silence. It evokes a strange mixture of serenity and reverence. In spring and early summer, the all-pervasive hush of the canyon is often broken by a sound that resembles the bleat of a frightened goat. It's the croak of the canyon tree frog, probably the most commonly heard amphibian in the park. Tree frogs are seldom more than 2 1/4 inches long and often sun themselves on rocks. The canyon floor is home to many snakes, such as the western garter. The canyon is also host to a wide variety of lizards, like this hungry desert spiny lizard. When Civil War veteran Major John Wesley Powell hiked through Zion, he wrote in his journal,
"Entering this canyon, we have to wade up the stream. Often the water fills the entire channel. The walls have smooth, plain faces and are everywhere very regular and vertical for 1,000 feet or more, where they seem to break in shelving slopes to higher altitudes. And everywhere as we go along, we find springs bursting out at the foot of the walls."
Today, this part of the canyon is aptly called the Narrows. At some points, the canyon walls are little more than 20 feet apart. Their towering height allows scant sunlight to reach the river below. The first human inhabitants of Zion were the Anasazi, nomadic hunters who probably farmed in the park some 1,200 years ago. For the next several hundred years, the Zion region was visited by many other Native Americans. It was not until the 19th century that a tribe known as the Paiute inhabited Zion Canyon. Spiritual leader Clifford Jake explains what life was like for his Paiute ancestors who called Zion Canyon Ayugun, the place where one must go out the way he came in.
Many years ago, before the white settlers, the Mormon people and the Anasazi came, and used to quite a lot of Indians out in the Zion Canyon. It's a great spiritual place here. You know, the people that used to live here, they were spiritual men, spiritual people. They had the way, the Indian ways, or at that time they used to live from the earth. The deer herds, the one provided food for the family, and that's the reason why. They got a lot of food in here, and the water, and the good water.
Zion Canyon's abundance nourished the Paiute, both body and soul.
They have their ceremonies. The Indians, you know, feel good. You know, they have a powwow, they have the songs, they have their own, and tribal songs. Well, that's what they call Kiatentegana. They want to have put up a powwow, you know, Kiatentegana. And the drums going, all of this, the trinkets, you know, all of this, the way they handle it, you know, that went with it, the songs, you know. It's got a songs. This mountain's got a songs. That's where the songs come from the mountain, the murmur of the wind, or the murmur of the eagle, a bird, or something, you know. That's where the songs come from. In the Indian, in our tribe, it's that way.
Early Spanish explorers had passed near the canyon in the 18th century. Then, in 1858, the Mormon leader Brigham Young sent Nephi Johnson to explore the area for potential farm sites. In 1862, Isaac Behunin built the first cabin in the canyon near what is today Zion Lodge. Behunin was one of the many Mormons who had come west to Utah seeking a place of refuge. While scraping together a living from crops and cattle, Behunin is reported to have said,
"These great mountains are natural temples of God. We can worship here as well as in the man-made temples in Zion, the biblical heavenly city of God. Let us call it Little Zion."
Mormon pioneers who farmed and cut trees in and around the canyons named many of Zion's famous landmarks. Across the canyon from Zion Lodge is Mount Moroni. It is named for the angel who, according to church teachings, revealed the Book of Mormon on golden tablets to Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormon Church. In the 1870s, expeditions of Major Powell and others began to report the wonders of this place in eloquent words, lush paintings, and spectacular photographs. In 1880, Captain Dutton of the United States Geological Survey was moved to write,
"As we rode along, a wonderful object sailed slowly and majestically into view. In an instant, there flashed before us a scene never to be forgotten. In coming time, it will, I believe, take rank with a very small number of spectacles, each of which would be regarded as the most exquisite of its kind which the world discloses. The scene before us was the temples and towers of the Virgin."
Near the turn of the century, the growing communities on the canyon floor were badly in need of lumber. However, transporting building material into the canyon was slow and costly. A local boy, David Flanagan, came up with the idea of constructing a wire pulley apparatus on what soon became known as Cable Mountain. By 1906, 200,000 board feet of lumber had been lowered to the valley floor. The crisis was averted, thanks to pioneer ingenuity. J.L. Crawford was born and raised in Zion before it became a national park. He spent a good portion of his adult life as a ranger and assistant chief park naturalist.
I was born January 5th, 1914, about 200 yards from this spot. And of course, we're in Zion National Park. And I lived here for the first 17 years of my life. And we're actually in my father's alfalfa field. My grandfather homesteaded this. So he owned Zion Canyon from one cliff to the other, right in this area. He raised his family here. He built a home, irrigation ditches, many miles of rock fences, and he raised 11 children to maturity on this place. I came along about 3 months after he died, so I didn't know my grandfather, but I certainly admire him for having done all that he did and building me such an excellent playground to grow up in, because it was a great life. As we grew up, of course, it wasn't all play. I realize now how hard my grandfather and my father and his brothers had to work to make a living off this harsh environment. And there's a lot of beauty here, but it was pretty tough to make a living. So there was a matter of irrigating fields, hoeing the crops, harvesting them, taking care of livestock. About as far back as I can remember, I had the responsibility of one cow. We owned two, and I had one cow to milk, and my brother had another. I feel sorry for kids today that have to grow up in a city and they never get away from their, just a few blocks from home. They have everything, have a good life, all they need to eat, and modern toys and that sort of thing, but something about nature that I think you get to develop a love for it. Since I was born right here, and since you've asked me now, I can't think of another place. I would, if I could, I'd build a home right here and come back and spend the rest of my days.
In 1916, Frederick Vining Fisher, a Methodist minister from Ogden, Utah, visited the area and prevailed upon local Mormons to guide him into the canyon. Although he spent only a few days exploring, the names he gave to many rock formations remain today. When he confronted a 2,400-foot-high monolith, Fisher declared,
"Never have I seen such a sight before. It is by all odds America's masterpiece. I have looked for this mountain all my life, but I never expected to find it in this world. This is the Great White Throne."
One of Fisher's Mormon guides was 16-year-old Claude Hershey. When these three peaks came into view, Hershey suggested naming them Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Fisher concurred and called them the Three Patriarchs. Angel's Landing received its name when Fisher and his companions predicted that only winged angels would ever set foot upon it. Today, Angel's Landing is ascended by mere mortals, eager to see the heavenly view of Zion Canyon.
Even though we'd heard the hike was really strenuous, we decided to do it because it seemed like it would give us the best view of the entire Zion Valley. About a third of the way into the hike, we encountered a place called Walter's Wiggle. What it is a series of switchbacks. I've never seen so many switchbacks. It was really steep and really hard, and when we got to the top, we were really relieved that that part of the hike was over. As we climbed the chain handrail, at times we could look over our shoulder and realize we were over 1,000 feet above the canyon floor. Sometimes it was a little scary. We spent over an hour just admiring the view from the top of Angel's Landing. And at that point we realized that no matter how hard the hike was, it was well worth it.
In 1919, Congress voted to create Zion National Park. Today, Zion Canyon Scenic Drive provides passage to many of the park's splendors. Weeping Rock is one of Zion's most unusual attractions. Water has seeped through more than 2,000 feet of porous sandstone until it reaches the denser shale of the lower rock strata. Water that collects here filters out slowly. Ferns and flowers thrive, clinging to cliffs or even dangling upside down from the overhanging rocks. On a hot day, the light rain falling from the rock is cool and refreshing. If the heat of the sun regulates the pace of activity in the park during the warm seasons, frigid winter air brings a silence and serenity that seem to suit the great rock cathedrals of Zion. The Zion-Mount Carmel Highway leads to the eastern section of the park. Here, the sandstone is weathered white, and steeply sloping hills replace the high cliffs. The rock has eroded into strange shapes, columns, pillars, beehives, and large sloping sandstone mesas. The sand grains that form the Navajo sandstone were probably blown here from the highlands to the west and northwest in what is today Nevada. Incessant winds piled the grains into sloping dunes that were constantly shifted and beveled. The pressure and the calcium carbonate that percolated down into the sand created a cement-like mixture that eventually solidified into sandstone. The best-known feature on this side of the park is Checkerboard Mesa. The checkers, or grooves, that crisscross the mesa's surface are the result of the erosion of the different sand beds and the expansion and contraction during the day-to-day repeated heating and cooling of the surface. After descending, the road enters Zion-Mount Carmel Tunnel. Emerging from the tunnel, the road provides outstanding views of the Great Arch of Zion. This arch is 720 feet wide at the bottom, 580 feet high, and cuts 90 feet back into the cliff. The magnificent arid area of the scenic Kolob Canyons on the other side of the park was added to Zion in 1956. In Taylor Creek, sagebrush, manzanita, and cactus cover the hillsides. Pinyon pine, juniper, and gamble oak send out roots in search of available moisture, while willows and cottonwoods grow only near streams or other continuous sources of water. Seeking sources of water is also a necessity for the wildlife that inhabit this barren region. Despite its reputation, the tarantula is not dangerous and is more interested in eating insects than in biting human beings. In fact, its venom is no more potent than a bee sting. Scorpions are thought to be one of the first air-breathing forms of life on Earth. Their fossil record dates back about 226 million years. Scorpions hide from the sun during the heat of the day and hunt at night, obtaining water from the bodies of the insects they feed upon. One of the highlights of this area is Kolob Arch. With a span of 310 feet, it is possibly the longest freestanding arch in the world. From the canyon's crucible, one of the Earth's most magnificent valleys has been forged. Perhaps Captain Dutton summed up the beauty of Zion best in his report of 1882.
Nothing can exceed the wonderful beauty of Zion. In the nobility and beauty of the sculptures, there is no comparison. There is an eloquence to their forms which stirs the imagination and kindles in the mind a glowing response.
6 years earlier, T.C. Bailey, a government surveyor, had also been deeply moved by the sight of nature's exquisite statuary in Bryce.
The surface breaks off almost perpendicularly to a depth of several hundred feet. Seems indeed as though the bottom had dropped out and left rocks standing in all shapes and forms as lone sentinels over the grotesque and picturesque scenes, presenting the wildest and most wonderful scene that the eye of man ever beheld. In fact, it is one of the wonders of the world.
Bryce Canyon and Zion National Parks, monuments to the eternal sweep of time. Infinite grains of sand moved by the tireless flow of water. Colossal monoliths, and some of nature's most preposterous and whimsical shapes. Treasures that fire the imagination and induce the spirit to soar. An incomparable heritage, a superlative symphony of towering cliffs and bold canyons of wonder.